now, Joe Pags.
Hey, great to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks, The Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations across the land. Newsmax TV, iHeartRadio, JoePags.com. It is a Wednesday. We, of course, know that as Hump Day. Start the week in the bottom of the hill on a Monday morning. Get through Monday, get through Tuesday, get through Wednesday. After Wednesday, head straight downhill to the weekend from here. Let's check in with Fergie.
My hump, my hump.
Your what?
My hump, my hump, my
What is she saying, hump?
My hump, my hump, my hump.
Kind of inappropriate.
My hump, my hump, my hump. Check it out.
But we are checking it out. We're glad to have you here. Welcome to the program. Thanks. Carrie, what's happening?
Hey, not too much. How's it going?
All good or what?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'm going to let some people in on some inside baseball. For TV, I've got to type something in here. Hold on a second. Carrie, talk about something.
Really?
For once.
You just started the show for 5 seconds.
Right.
Come on now.
Maybe you can
it's
contribute.
time. Let's go.
Maybe you can contribute to the program.
Every day, every day. I'm a team player.
I'm going to
Yes,
let some people in on some inside stuff. And I've talked about this a million different times. I've been in San Antonio, Texas for a little over 11 years now. And it's a good long time. The longest time I've been in any city in my career. As you know, in broadcasting, it's a very transient business. I mean, you go from city to city, town to town, move up, make more money, do what you got to do. We've locked it in the San Antonio area, and we love it here. And hope to be here for another 50 years. I think people listening and watching want me to be here for 50, 60, 70 more years. At least. until I'm 150.
I'm sure, yeah. And me too.
But before I did
as
this, some of them want you to, like your family. But for a long time, I was a television news anchor. And in fact, when we came to San Antonio, when the local news anchor, a guy I think is great, Randy Beamer, when Randy was off, I would go and do the news on Channel 4.
I remember
and it still is WOAI Channel 4, but it's not affiliated with the radio station anymore, our flagship WOAI. So they now call themselves News 4 SA.
Yeah.
And,
Sounds nice.
And again, I think the general manager is amazing. I think that the news director is a great guy. I think that the executive producers there are amazing. I think that the assistant news director is great too. I know all these people very, very well. I got to tell you, man, I get very disappointed when I see the local news turn into something other than what it should be. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to make the offer that I've made a million different times. The offer is I will come to any of the local news outlets, whether it be the Fox, the ABC, the NBC, the CBS, and I will sit down with your cub reporters and even your anchors, and I will teach you how to be a journalist if you need that help. And now, many people will think I'm being a sarcastic ass right now, and a little bit of it is sarcastic, but the vast majority of what I'm saying is true. I will come to your shop. And I will sit down with your reporters. I'll go over their packages. I'll go over what they've written. I'll go over their stories, and I will show them why what they did could be better. I would be happy to do that. I actually was very, very good at that when I was a news director and managing editor in Lansing, Michigan. We had these reporters that were just out of school, and we had to teach them how to be even-handed and fair-minded and objective. Journalism, quite literally, is keeping a journal. We have the ability as those, well, I'm not a journalist in this form and fashion. I'm an editorialist. I'm a talk show host. But as a journalist, and I know how to do the job very well, and I was many times awarded because I did it so well, as a journalist, it's your job to go out there and keep a journal. It comes from the French jour, which means day. Go and keep a journal of what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you feel, and then objectively report it to the people who've been doing something else all day. So I, generally speaking, DVR the newscast on Channel 4. I don't DVR the other ones, although I've got friends at the CBS, Ken's 5. Sarah Forgani and I have been like Twitter friends forever. We take one picture a year at a Spurs game together. That's all she'll actually put up with. And I met Steve Spriester over there from the Channel 12. I think he's great. He's on Channel 12, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
But I generally, and that's the ABC for those who are listening and watching from around the country, they're good people. These are good newscasts, and the people behind them are very good. But you have to do a better job of actually relating what the story is. Yesterday, Donald Trump came to San Antonio. It was a quick visit. He flew in, flew out, made some money in a fundraiser, and then was on his way. That is the big story. The big story is that one of two people who has a chance to be the next president of the United States, took a stop in our fair city. That's the story. That's the big story. Now, anything that came out of that, anything that is a tangent from that, certainly report it, but that's not the story. So I'm watching last night, and the newscast starts with this story, not of Donald Trump visiting, but of some San Antonio police officers wearing Make America Great hats as Donald Trump was leaving the tarmac at SA International. Now, the inside baseball is this. Newscasters are reading written words. Many of the words are written by producers or executive producers or the news director. I always insisted on making sure the story was in my sort of verbiage, how I speak, in my language, in my tongue, and I would change it or I would write it myself. I loved going out and reporting stories, and I loved being awarded for being even-handed. And again, for those who don't know, I was awarded by the United States House of Representatives and by the state of Michigan for fairness in reporting the events after 9/11. So again, I know how to do it. So when I watch it, I'm a little jaded. Some would say I'm a lot jaded. You know, Carrie, I listen to some talk radio, not much. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to talk radio, I'm a bit jaded because it's what I do for a living. So I hear the technical issues. I hear the idiosyncrasies that others might not hear. Right. So to be fair, I see on local television news what's glaringly incorrect, and maybe I don't notice what's correct as much. And again, I think that this station does a very good job, and the people who run the station are great, salt of the earth people. I don't know the anchor who read the story last night. I've never met her. I've met Randy. Randy Beamer. He's still there, but I don't know Evie Ramos. I knew Elsa Ramos, who was which was kind of, or Elsa Ramon, who was before Evie Ramos. I don't know Evie. Never met her. I'll bet she's great. I bet she's perfect. I bet she might not even written a story. But having said that, what I'm going to do now for TV is I'm going to move over. Okay, and those on radio, imagine me moving over, and then over my left shoulder will be an OTS, which is an over-the-shoulder box. I'm going to give you the verbatim of the story that I saw last night on Channel 4. Now, normally, the anchor has a teleprompter here, so when they're looking right at the camera, they're actually seeing words, they're not seeing the camera. I'm going to be looking at my Microsoft Word, which is here. I've transcribed the story as I heard it last night on Channel 4. So if I'm looking down and looking up, that's why. Normally, they'd have the words right there on the screen. So here's the OTS, which is, I guess, probably the SAPD thing or some sort of controversy. And the story verbatim from the TV station last night is this. Our top story tonight, Mayor Ivy Taylor and San Antonio Police Chief William McManus are coming down on officers who appear to be endorsing Donald Trump today during his fundraising visit. This is the video. Now we'll roll the video. In question, posted to Trump's Twitter page not long after he left San Antonio this afternoon. Several SAPD officers who appear to be part of his motorcade today wearing Make America Great Again hats, a signature of the Trump campaign, Trump adding, "We will make America safe and great again together." Tonight, the chief released a statement saying the officers violated SAPD policy and displayed poor judgment. He expects them to know better than to give the appearance of endorsing a candidate while on duty and in uniform regardless of the political campaign or candidate. The mayor saying tonight she's deeply disappointed by some of our SAPD officers' lack of judgment while on duty. Police must be above politics with an obligation to serve everyone equally. Chief McManus says they will be disciplined and noted officers are charged with protecting the entire community. The president of the union tonight says the officers most likely just got caught up in the moment and weren't considering the political nature of their actions. Okay, that's the exact story that was the lead story from last night. There is nothing unjournalistic about the story. Don't misunderstand me. The story is true. What they said here is correct. By the way, there is a side note that I actually believed that the Trump campaign gave the officers the hats. It turns out that's not true. I talked to the Trump campaign. They did not hand the officers the hats. The officers must have had them already when they put them on. I know Chief Bill McManus. He is a friend of mine, and he's a very good guy, and he was a great asset when Gabby was missing. So this is not to call the police chief out, although he knows, even though we're friends, I would if I thought that he did or said something that I disagreed with. Now, that's the story that was presented. Carrie, what do you think my problem is with that story being the big story last night?
That they didn't start with Donald Trump being in San Antonio for the fundraiser?
Ding, 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 ding. The big story in San Antonio, Texas yesterday was not that some cops put on Make America Great hats, and it wasn't that the mayor is feigning outrage. A mayor that I helped get elected is feigning outrage somehow over it, and it's not about what the police officers face as far as discipline. The big story is that one of the two human beings on planet Earth that has a chance to be our next president of the United States chose to come to the Alamo City yesterday. That's the story. That's the problem. And I'm guessing nobody in the newsroom thought, hey, here's the biggest story that's happened in our community today. This guy came in, and again, he could be the next president. Now, I don't care if you think he's going to be. Your job as a journalist to report that one of the people that could be the next president is in town. Came to town, here's why. Now, I've written a story that I believe would be more accurate as a journalist, and as an anchor, this is a story I would be comfortable reading. About the Republican nominee coming to Name Your Town USA and spending some time, and then there's a controversy after he left. When we come back, I will, in my best anchor, Joe Pags, the former anchor guy, I don't have a tie on. Maybe I should have put a tie on and a jacket. But I will give you the story as I've rewritten it now. And then we will discuss the differences. And the reason why I bring this up is not to say, this channel stinks or these people are no good. It's to say that maybe they're not seeing the forest for the trees. Maybe they're not realizing the big story. The big story yesterday was this guy came here. Out of all the cities in the United States of America, he came here. That's the story. Not what Ivy Taylor says, not what Bill McManus says, not what hats the cops were wearing. Is that a tangent of the story? Of course it is. Maybe you put two reporters on it. One, the candidate came to town, might be some protests, maybe not. People supported, people didn't support, whatever. And let's go to this guy over here to talk about the second story, which is, they're wearing Make America Great hats. So when we come back, I'll give you this story rewritten by me. I'll deliver it the way that it should have been delivered, and then we can discuss it. And the reason I bring this up is I want you to realize when you pop on the TV news or the radio news or even this show, you need to know that you may be getting somebody's bad idea for what's important to you or the community today. And you might not be getting even-handed reporting, because as much as that story was correct, the reporting was completely lopsided. They only gave you a negative Trump story. They did not give you a Trump story that he came to town, here's why, here's where he went, here's how much they raised, and here's who he met with. And when you don't get that, you're not getting a fair, even-handed allotment of journalism. That's the truth, folks. When we come back, I'll give you how I would have done it and how the correct way to do it is on the Joe Pags Show. Stay right here.